So let's start from the most frequently asked question, which is, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna review the secret of the Chinese language. If you're new here, I'm Cecilia, I'm Chinese, I live in Spain currently. Most of the times I make videos about life in Spain and studying Spanish, but it's hard to ignore what's happening recently. Like, I would never imagine that I live to see this day where American netizens and Chinese netizens are bonding on the Chinese app. The American government was gonna ban TikTok, so all these Americans just flooded to this Chinese app called the Rednote. This is an app that I use daily. I find all sort of information that I need there. And then one day when I opened my app, I suddenly saw Americans. They call themselves TikTok refugee, which is kind of entertaining. And I also saw a lot of people curious about the Chinese language. And as a native Chinese myself, every time when I make a new friend, they almost ask me the same questions about the Chinese language. So I thought this could be a perfect chance for me just to review the secret of the Chinese language to you so that you know more or less how Chinese works. And it's not as hard as you think. So let's start from the most frequently asked question, which is, how do Chinese people write? Because whenever they see me typing on my phone, they're like, how are you able to type out a character this complicated? And I'm like, yeah, because we type based on pronunciation. For Chinese Mandarin, we also use these 26 English letters to indicate the pronunciation of the word. For example, the one that you guys all know, which is ni hao, which means hello. So ni hao, based on the pronunciation, it's NI is the sound of ni. After you type NI, I know this is kind of scary. You're gonna have like all these characters that all share the same pronunciation. So you're gonna wanna choose the one that you want. And then how, which is HAO, of course, you'll have to be able to recognize which one is the one that you want. So basically, this is how we type. And when it comes to writing, of course, it's a different story. I know that for people who are learning Chinese, they feel like it's incredibly hard to remember how to write a character. And they always ask me, but how do you remember it? How are you able to memorize so many different, like hundreds of thousands of little drawings? And the secret is to practice. So when we were little, for example, when I was in elementary school, of course, we were not born to speak Chinese. And we also got to practice. It's just like we started earlier than you. So what we do is in elementary school, we learn how to write. We will learn a couple of characters each day. And we have this little notebook to practice writing that's specifically designed for Chinese. And then there are also exercise book that shows you how to do the right strokes. And we are basically just following the instruction of the strokes. And I remember that I would repeat writing the same character for at least 10 times, because this is what it takes actually for you to be able to memorize these characters. I'm saying to my friends that I feel like Chinese writing is sort of endangered because we're getting worse and worse at physically writing out the character without referring to it, because we are typing so much on devices that we actually forgot how to actually draw out these little characters. Because the thing is, as you can see from my demonstration just now, if you want to type out the Chinese word, it's not that hard, because all you need to do is to know their pronunciation, recognize the word, and select it. It doesn't involve the part where you'll have to remember how to actually one stroke after another writing out this character. Nowadays, because we're all typing, we do not practice enough, me included. If you ask me to write something simple, of course I know how to write them. But if it's something a little bit complicated, for a word like toothpaste, for example, 牙膏, and look at this character. If you ask me to write it down on a piece of paper, I think more than half of the people are gonna get it wrong, because we just simply do not practice writing enough these days. And the thing is, we do not need to. There are like very few people practice writing for the sake of practicing writing, because nobody writes a letter anymore. We're all typing and messaging and emailing, and then we say, but every language faces the same problem. No, but Chinese is different. For a Western language like English or Spanish, for example, what you do is simply memorize the spelling of this word. I mean, there are only 26 English letters. Doesn't matter how much you type, you're not gonna forget how to write the letter A or how to write the letter, I don't know, Q, just because it doesn't appear that much. You may be a bad speller, but you will not forget how to write all these letters, right? But for Chinese, it's different because every single character stands alone. The way we type is simply the pronunciation of the word. It has nothing to do with how the character looks. So as long as we do not physically write out the word, we would forget. It's just like when you see movies when people are, left out on an island, they would speak to themselves just to maintain the language ability, because if they do not talk, they're gonna forget how to actually talk. It's a skill. Chinese writing is the same. And then let's talk about Chinese grammar, which I think is actually the easiest part of Chinese. And this is what I explained the most to my friends as well. In a way, Chinese doesn't really have grammar like tenses in English or Spanish. The verbs always have to change the form to match the tense or to match the pronouns. In English, for example, you say I eat, you eat, she eats, you add an s after eat, which is like not a big effort compared to Spanish. Of course, if you say something like in the past tense, you would say we ate. And you have to remember what's the past tense for eat. And for Spanish, it's even harder. Of course, every single pronoun in every single tense, the verb has a different form, a different conjugation. So I eat would be como, you eat, comes. He or she eats, come. And then comemos, we eat, comes, you eat, comen, they eat. So you see, even for present tense, there are already 6 forms of one single verb. And then you got past tense, the future tense, like all these possible tenses. So in Spanish, like basically one verb has like 48 cousins based on the tenses and then, like different situations. But in Chinese, eat is 吃, and it will always be it. It's almost like saying eat for all the possible tenses. All you need to do is to change the pronoun before the verb 吃. The tenses doesn't matter either. We do not have, like, 吃 doesn't change form. None of the verbs change any form when we talk about something in the past. All we do is to add the time. Like 吃, it's still the word 吃 or eat. We say I eat yesterday, or I eat an hour ago. Same for future tense. We do not change the form of the verb. We just, add the future time indicator. For example, we say 我明天吃饭. So literally, I eat tomorrow. We do not say I will eat tomorrow or I will go tomorrow. It's always eat in every possible situation. So see, this simple part about Chinese. All you need to do is just to stack characters all together for it to make sense. So the memory part on this part is very minimum. Apparently, the major memory load would be for the learners to memorize what each character looks like. So yeah, that's where the hard work goes, because the pronunciation system and the writing system are completely different. And you have to match the pronunciation with the look of the character by pure memory. There's no shortcut. Just read more, practice more, and you will remember it. Honestly, this is all I can think of for now. And it's been so much fun making this video, because I'm really happy that so many people are taking interest in Chinese and they want to learn Chinese. And I'm so proud that I can share with you guys how Chinese works. And if you have any more questions about either the app or Rednote or how Chinese work or whatever, leave a comment down below. Bye!